Hey, so I'm doing a short video on um, competition and the US um, in November 2024. So, does the US have actual priorities that are um, strategic when we think about how the nation actually operates? Is there like a something what does the US sort of have to do? And we can see that there's one significant threat that came up in the 70s and 80s. People misunderstand this. The right lied about it the entire election. And so, when we talk about like American liberal capitalism, there's one thing that's kind of annoying, and it's when you have state-sponsored economic regimes that have sort of like most favored nation in place. Everyone does this, so whatever, no big deal. Um, and at some point, the economics are driven by the reinvestment, like immediately right back into the state infrastructure. Like this is sort of the core thing, and so it's like, all right, who's gonna do this, right? I can appreciate you're trying to do good things. I'll give you that. Um, you know, I'll give you that. And then the second sort of side of things that can make sense. It's nice to have a lot of people working on stuff. Again, um, it's one of the things that gets me up in a fucking tiff. Um, but you see things like in the 70s, China floating the dollar. When you start seeing these large economic cartels that don't clarify the rules, and so this is partially why when we think about like a bipolar or multipolar world, um, you know, there's got to be some level of truth to this. There's got to be some level of truth to this, right? Um, and so this is at least when so if I'm putting myself somewhere, you know, one of the things that I would think about is that at the very least the U.S. has this like broad general commitment to free global trade. Um, and like I always say, there's always more important stuff that you can go do. Um, this isn't a small thing though, right? Like I think this is one of the things that people can say is that this isn't a small thing. And so when you look at like why the U.S. wants technological dominance, why we encourage our allies to pursue the same strategy. Um, well, it's like, is it really responsible to be talking like that? When you realize it's not, then what do you do about it? What do you do about it? What questions do you ask yourself?